returned into the status bar at the top of the screen. Before I exit this, it's standard practice before you exit after, let's say, tracing your area or whatever Takeoff it might be. First thing to do really is to have a look on the toolbar at an icon, a function called Shape Results. And this is a little icon with an information bubble and an eye on the icon. What this allows you to be able to do is it allows you to be able to append notes and annotate the takeoff that you've done in more detail. Every line or lines or shape that you draw, the system classes this as shape 1. You may have another one, shape 2, shape 3, and so forth. It's always best to come into the shape results and amend that description so that it is more, there's a better explanation as to what it is. In here it will tell you the result, plus and minus. You can have this as an addition or a deduction. Whatever type takeoff you do, you can simply change it to a plus result or a minus result, depending on what it is you're taking off. There is an expansion bar here on the shape results screen that allows you to add in additional details, things like applying a factor, where you can times an area multiple times, 2 times, 3 times, 5 times, or 0.5 or whatever it might be. You can add some sort of takeoff notes, which you'll see will be used in the system itself. You can change the color of lines, chain patterns, and so forth at this point as well. So before you exit and return back to the system with your result, it is always beneficial to go into the shape results function and amend your takeoff to describe it a little better. Again, before I move away, there is an icon here on the toolbar called Turn Dimensioning On and Off. Again, this allows you to be able to, when it's clicked, you can see it's an icon with a ruler and a 1 in it. When it's ticked, what you'll get is a dim shown on each line that you have drawn. Again, very useful, just to allow you to be able to, doubly check that your result is okay. If once you've turned that icon on, as I say, you'll get a dim just for checking purposes. So what I'll do then is simply save and return this result by clicking on the Save and Exit icon, which you'd be all semi-familiar with Buildsoft. Up the top left-hand corner, you'll see a little door symbol that will allow you to be able to just click on the door symbol, and it will return the option to you. It will return the option to you and bring it back in. We have a question in from one of the participants. What about the scale? With CAD files, you don't, as such, normally have to worry about setting a scale on the drawing. The CAD file itself, and this is a CAD file, will contain a scale for you. What we'll do is, I'll be showing later on in the webinar how, when you're dealing with PDF files and other image files, let's call them as such dumb image files, things like PDFs, bitmaps, JPEGs, and so forth, where the files themselves would be fairly unintelligent and contain no detail other than the image. In that instance, the system will require you to set the scale manually, and there is a function in Buildsoft to allow you to be able to do that. So you can also do that on a CAD file should you have any doubt as to whether the results being returned are correct or not. So we, just to come back to that particular question, we will be dealing with that a little later on in the webinar. But suffice to say that 99.9% of the CAD files that we would deal, or the customers would deal with, the scale that has been set in those is as I say, most of the time completely accurate. However, we will be dealing with a situation where if there is any doubt, how you can actually calibrate the system to accept a scale of your own setting. So once you have your takeoff done and your result returned to the status bar, you can simply click on the save and exit icon, and it will return the result out of the system and back into the area you activated the BTOS module, and in this case we have done that in the calculation sheet. So that's an example of how you can do a simple area takeoff. What I'm going to do is just come back up one level and drill down behind my second item, which is simply going to show you how to do a very simple lineal type takeoff from a CAD file. So I'll drill behind the second option I have here, lineal takeoff. And again, it's always very important to annotate your takeoff prior to activating the BTOS module. As you can see, what I've done here is I've put in external walls bed 1. And then, as before, if on the calculation sheet, you can simply activate the BTOS module by clicking on the BTOS icon at the top. It activates the module. The message, by the way, was I already had a drawing of that name from a previous webinar, so it just asked me, did I want to override it or not? And I said I did. So again, you're into the BTOS module proper. As this is a lineal type takeoff, the first thing you do is you go to the status bar and you indicate that the type of takeoff you're looking to perform is lineal meters. You move to the right and then you indicate what line color you want to use and what line thickness you want to use. Then, as before, you can load your drawing. So you go Image, Load Image, or Control and I. It will again bring up your image list. It will remember the last drawing that you've used, and if that is the one that you want to work with in this case, you make sure that the show tick is beside the particular drawing name in the show column, and you click OK. The drawing gets loaded as before, and again, immediately what you would need to do, depending on the scale of the drawing on screen, you'll need to use one of the magnifier icons to zoom in on the section of the drawing that, in this case, you want to do your takeoff on. So again, I'm going to use the zoom in on a section of a plan, which is the most used and most, the best, let's say, function for zooming in on the section that you want to work on in particular. So you just click on it once, and when you move the cursor away, you get this little Z cursor. Again, you can start at any point you want. I'm going to have a look at bed 1. We want to have a look at the external walls here. So I'm going to click and hold, drag, and let go. And it zooms up that particular section. Bear in mind also you can as I said before, if you have zoomed in on the wrong section and you want to begin again, just click on the last magnifier icon, Restore Original View, and it will return you from whence you came. So the lineal meter takeoff, simply, I'm having a look at the external walls here, so it's this section here. So again, you right-click, you click on the point that you wish to begin, move to your second point, click, move to your third point, click. Now, you can see that it's trying to continue on that line. However, this is a straight lineal type calculation, so I need to tell the system to stop the line at this point down the bottom. And how you do that is you simply use the right click on the mouse. And when I right click, it stops that line. So it's a simple lineal type takeoff. Now, of course, I could then zoom out and I could go to some other section of the drawing to do another lineal type takeoff, and I would simply click, 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 and then if that was the lineal length that I want only, I would then right click to stop the line at this point. So with areas, obviously more often than not, it's a closed shape, rectangular shape, square shape, whatever it might be. But with a lineal type takeoff, they're straight lineal lengths. So using the right-click option on your mouse allows you to be able to stop the lineal takeoff at the point that you want. The question coming in here, just asked, is the snap function available in CAD only? It isn't. It is also available in, when you say is the snap function available in CAD only, I presume you mean CAD files that Buildsoft deals with. In fact, no, it is available when you're using PDFs or bitmaps or JPEGs as well. As long as the line is displayed on screen, the snap or point latch or line latch, as BTOS calls them, which is this, when you move your icon close to a line, it grabs that point. That is available also in regular image files. So as before, when you've completed your takeoff, you go to the shape results icon and you annotate your shape results as best you can. As before, you can expand the shape results box, changing line color if you forgot to do it in the initial instance. Change line color and shading pattern really isn't applicable to lineal type takeoffs. Notes can be put in and so forth. Also, you can doubly check you're happy with the takeoff by turning on the line dimensioning, and when you do that, you'll get a single dim for each line that you've drawn. So again, to return this result, you simply use the save and exit icon, and it will return that result into the calculation sheet for you. Just to go back and show you this, another alternative option when it comes to lineal lengths. As you can see, all this is returned is the total value. You may want to return the individual dims for each line drawn. So I'm just going to activate the BTOS module again. It will auto-load the drawing and show you your takeoff that you've done. And just if you need individual dims for each line, on the status bar there is a button that can be pressed, LEN for lengths. When you turn that on and return your result, you will get an individual dim for each one of the lineal lengths that have been drawn. So that's an option that can be turned on and off as required. So that's an example of a lineal type takeoff. What I'm going to then move on to is a vertical area, or in this, a wall area type takeoff, and how that is achieved. So again, what I'm going to do is I have a third line there called vertical area takeoff. I'm going to drill down behind the calculation sheet, into the calculation sheet, and again you'll see the importance of annotating your takeoff, and you can see what I've put in there as wall area, kitchen, stroke, dining. So once in the calculation sheet, you then activate the BTOS module. Again, I have a drawn name on already there from a webinar, so it's brought it up, and I've overwritten it because I want to do a new. And again, as before, first thing you do on the status bar is indicate the type of takeoff that you want to perform. So I'm going to select vertical area, and once I select vertical area, or in fact volume, or volume by length, the system will automatically look for, as such, a third dimension. So in this case it is the wall height. So I'm going to put in a wall height here of 2.4, and then again, as before, I'm going to load my image. And I'll make sure my tick is beside the drawing name and click OK. As before, it brings it in, and you can then use your zoom functions to zoom in on the section of the drawing that you want to deal with. So in this instance, I'm going to take off a wall area of the kitchen and dining, So I'll go